Hello and welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. And today we're looking at American whiskey. And it's a bit of a strange one. It's called the Gunfighter. Yeah, it's produced by the O.C. Tyler Distillery in Kentucky and has been bottled by the something in Colorado, Golden Moon Distillery in Golden, Colorado. So, is it a Kentucky straight bourbon? I don't think so, is it? American bourbon whiskey. Yet still, American bourbon whiskey still has a few legislations attached to it. American, I think they covered it. Colorado is part of America. And then we have bourbon. Bourbon, you have to be in the United States. I don't think that's a problem for Colorado. And the other thing is that you only have to mature in new, fresh white oak, American white oak. That's not quite true. If you read the legislation from the ATF very, very carefully of what is allowed to be able to be called bourbon, is very precise, and it says you have to store in new charred oak containers. And that means, okay, barrels, and it doesn't have to be American white oak, which they probably did, but you don't only have to store it there. So you store it in new charred oak containers, and then you transfer it to used charred oak containers or oak containers. What they did here, because they first matured in fresh American oak casks and then refilled them in port wine casks from California. I didn't even know that California was producing port wine, but they probably do a lot that you don't know about California. It's a big state. So yeah, we have a double cask bourbon, which is strange because the Americans usually call it barrel. Gunfighter double cask bourbon is a premium bourbon whiskey that is aged for a minimum of 6 months in new oak casks and then finished in used port wine casks, adding complexity and smoothness to the whiskey. We do know how old it is. It doesn't care. I don't think it carries an age statement, does it? But we do know how old it is, and it is 2 years old, which is a bit strange because the color suggests that it doesn't have coloring, but it's still only 2 years. Or maybe I got supplied wrong information. But the other thing is, what I do know for sure is they published their mash bill. And let me read that for you. 60% corn, which is good, because you need at least 51% corn, which is a decent amount of corn. Then we have 43% rye, which is a high amount of rye for a bourbon. And that will give us a fairly rough and spicy bourbon. And in the end we have 6% barley. Usually that's malted barley. They don't write it there, but it's malted barley, because if you use at least 6% malted barley, 6% is actually a bit below that. Usually you should have 7-8% malted barley. Then you can use for mashing the malted barley with the enzymes in the malted barley. Because corn doesn't have these enzymes, and if you only do corn whiskey with only corn, then you have to add enzymes. So they probably use the least amount of barley to get natural mashing. Yeah, but all in all, that's a big story behind that. Let's try. Whew. Very, very sweet, very caramelly, very candy-like. So it's really a... Oh yeah, these Americans do love candy, huh? Don't they? Oh, it's really... Yep, candy all the way. I would have expected more of an alcoholic note and a youth note, metallic note with 2 years. I think if you really use these well-toasted, charred containers, casks, then you don't need that much. Then you can kind of cover the youth. Wow. Yeah, the name is program here, Gunfighter. It's a rough and tough one. It's a spicy one. It's a sweet one. It's a very, very fruity one. You do realize there's something else in there. There's a bit of a wine note in there as well. But with all these bold flavors, they try to cover the youth, but there's still a bit of youth in there. So you do realize there's a bit of that distillery character with the fresh pear, a little bit of a metallic note there, a little bit of an alcoholic note there. Oh yeah, it's a bit young. So yeah, if you do like all these additive tastes, then that's the right whiskey for you. Don't expect one of these very mature and aged ones. It's a one that has the edges and the yeah, it does have a high amount of say unwanted flavors. Yeah, just young flavors. Bit of a sharp whiskey. So what do you expect? I mean, you're buying a whiskey that's called Gunfighter. Should it not be sharp? Yeah, it should be. But it's packed with a punch. Yeah. So do I recommend it? Depends on if you just listen to me and you're thinking, oh yeah, I really like that flavor, then yeah, definitely the one for you. If you're looking out for nuances and connoisseurs and to enjoy it next to your fireplace in the evening with a good book of Shakespeare, then maybe not. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's it. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, then please feel free to share it with your friends, and see you next time.